This is episode 64 of Lifestyle Locker Radio with Emily Fletcher.
Why would I waste my time? I'm busy. I've got kids. I've got a job. I've got stuff to do. Like, why would I sit in a chair quietly with my eyes closed? And the answer to that is also very simple. And the answer is to get better at life.
Hi, I'm Dr. Josh Hen, and welcome to the Lifestyle Locker Radio, where we dive into what makes an awesome lifestyle. From relationships to money mindset, nutrition to fitness, emotional health to peak performance, we bring you on an amazing journey to unleashing your human potential. So here's a little bit about our guest, Emily Fletcher. She's the founder of Ziva Meditation and the creator of Ziva Online. Ziva's mission is to make meditation attractive, accessible, and easy to adopt into modern life. Recently featured in the New York Times, named top 100 women in wellness to watch and regarded as one of the leading experts in meditation for performance, Emily has been invited by companies like Google, small company, right? Google, Barclays Bank, and Sweetgreen to help improve company performance through meditation. Emily began her 10 years of training in Rishikesh, India. I'm not sure if I said that right. And was inspired to teach after experiencing the profound physical and mental benefits meditation provided her during her 10-year career on Broadway, which included roles in Chicago, The Producers, and A Chorus Line. Emily has been invited to speak at Harvard Business School, Bulletproof Biohacking Conference, way cool, Summit Series, Wanderlust, A-Fest, and the Omega Institute. So far, she has taught over 7,000 people to become self-sufficient meditators with the Ziva Technique to take with them for life. So here she is, the amazing Emily Fletcher. Hey, everyone in the locker room. Live from actually Florida, not her New York home here. We have Emily Fletcher. Many of you know her from Ziva Online and Ziva Meditation. Well, online is coming soon, which we're going to mention. So welcome. Glad to have you here.
I am so thrilled, and I'm so happy to be in a tropical location. I'm in my hometown of Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah, a little different up here in New York right now. A little chilly. You know, I'm kind of warming my hands up still from being outside a few minutes ago walking the dog. But so I'm super glad to have you here. Meditation has become a huge part of my life in the past. God, I mean, I've known about it forever, but maybe in the past 5 or 6 months, it's become like a daily, probably 80% of the time ritual for me. And it's something I do not miss, and it's pretty amazing. And for those of you not doing it, you're going to learn why it's something you need to put into your life daily as much as you can. So Emily, what I'd love for you to do is you have a neat story, and I want to kind of know what kind of brought you into this world. Your background, you know, when I, looking at your bio, to me, initially, you didn't say like, oh, I'm going to be someone that's going to be a master at meditation.
No, absolutely not.
So let's bring us down the road, kind of bring us in.
So I guess normally I start my story on Broadway, but since I'm here in Tallahassee, Florida, I'm feeling like I want to go way back to my roots. You're like, it's only an hour podcast.
Well, that's all right. We got a few minutes here.
No, but I grew up, in the Panhandle of Florida, 7 minutes from the Georgia line. It's super southern here. I was Florida's junior miss in 1997. I sang the national anthem at the opening of the Super Walmart. I was doing keg stands of Nat Light in the Walmart parking lot. Like, I lived my life.
Yeah.
But not probably a classical traditional meditation teacher that you would assume. But I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be an actress, and I moved to New York, and I was very lucky, if you believe in luck. But my second day in New York, I got my first professional job, and I worked on Broadway for about 10 years, and it was incredible. But 3 weeks after my first Broadway show was the saddest I had ever been. And I realized at a relatively young age of 22 that I was more interested in the happiness of pursuit than I was the pursuit of happiness. Because I really believed that once I got on Broadway, it was going to be sunshine and roses. And then I got on Broadway and I still had problems, and I still had rent to pay, and I had bunions, and there was like boyfriends breaking up with me and things. And I was like, but this is not my dream. And so I just thought, well, it must be the next show and the next show and the next boyfriend and the next zero in the bank account. And I did that for a decade. I was in what I call the I'll be happy when syndrome, which most of us are so eyeball deep in that we can't even see it. And then finally, my last Broadway show was a chorus line where I was understudying three of the lead roles, which means you show up to the theater with no idea which character you're going to play, which is a lot of people's nightmare. And that was my actual job.
Wow.
And actually just last night I had a stress dream about Chicago, which is another Broadway show I did. I was going on for the lead, but I'd never had any rehearsal. But that's another story for another podcast, or for my therapist.
Exactly.
So anyway, you show up at a moment's notice. They're like, Emily Fletcher, we need you on stage. And you're in your dressing room panicking because you don't know which character you're going to play. And so you're just, even if you're not being thrown on stage, you're living your life in this constant anxiety, this constant not knowing. And it led to some pretty extreme anxiety. And I wouldn't say I'm an anxious person by nature. It's not my habit. It was something that developed sort of occupationally. And so it started leading to insomnia. I couldn't sleep through the night for about 18 months.
Wow.
I started going gray at 27 years old. I started getting sick about 5 or 6 times a year. And so again, like living the dream, like on Broadway, doing the thing I had wanted to do since I was a child, and I was miserable. And so thankfully, this amazing woman was sitting next to me in the dressing room. She had a harder job than I did. She was understudying 5 of the lead roles, including Cassie. So if you know the show, you know what that means.
Wow.
And this woman was crushing it. I mean, every song, every dance, every bite of food was a celebration. And I was like, hi, what do you know that I don't know? And she said, I meditate. And I rolled my eyes and was like, oh God, one of you, one of those.
One of them.
Yeah, because this was, over a decade ago. So there was not the neuroscience then that there is now. And I thought like, no, my problems are real. My stress is real. Like me sitting and wasting my time is not going to help this. And so I just kept sucking at my job, and I kept going gray, and I kept having insomnia, and I kept having anxiety. And then finally I felt so embarrassed about my performance that I thought, well, maybe I should try something different than what I'm doing. And so I went along to this intro to meditation talk. I liked what I heard. I signed up for a 4-day course. On the first day of the first course, I was meditating. To be honest, I had no idea what that meant, but I was in a different state of consciousness than I had ever been in before, and I liked it. And then that night, I slept through the night for the first time in 18 months, and I have every night since, and that was almost 11 years ago. Then, stopped getting sick, stopped getting injured, stopped going gray, started enjoying my job again, and I was like, hang on a minute, why does everyone not do this? And so I left Broadway, I went to India, and I started what became a 3-year training process to become a teacher. And it's been the most rewarding thing I've ever done. People ask me if I miss performing, and the answer is no. I'm still performing. I'm just using my words, and I'm allowing myself to be a vessel. And I feel like I'm able to use my lifetime of performance training, but more actively to help people. And so selfishly, like why I do what I do is that I get to wake up to emails from my students saying like, Emily, my insomnia went away. My IBS is gone. I was able to get off my anxiety meds. I wrote that book. I broke up with that ding dong head. I started that company. I got that scholarship, and so it's really rewarding. Even though that has nothing to do with me, I still feel very honored to be able to be a facilitator and a part of that healing process.
Well, catalyst to amazing change.
Yeah, and so far we've taught 7,000 people at Ziva.
It?
Yeah, just 7,000, So, yes, I feel really proud of that.
That is really neat. And just my personal experience with meditation, we're going to dive into some of the science and some of the quantum and some of these things that I think are so important to help people break past the barriers of taking the next step. Because like you said, my understanding, and I think of like meditations, I grew up doing experiential trainings with my parents where we were doing firewalks and ropes courses and bending rebar with your neck and putting needles through your hands with no blood. And it was wild things. So I was introduced at a young age, but I was a kid that was, we do a meditation at 6 a.m. and I'd be in the desert with them and I'd be running around the fire in circles. That was my meditation. There was no such thing. But, fast forward, I think 30 plus years starting it, it's mind blowing to say the least.
Wow. And you have all that in your DNA. You have all that in your cellular memory. Like it was in such a young age. And then you coming back to it of your own volition, I imagine things are happening exponentially for you.
I don't know, but my experience has been pretty cool, especially when I was, if I do it for an hour, it's very different than if I do it for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So, but let's dive in because I think this is important. let's go in. What's the why in meditation? Like, why would someone want to meditate?
Great question. So this is actually, it's the simplest question, right? Like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I waste my time? I'm busy. I've got kids. I've got a job. I've got stuff to do. Like, why would I sit in a chair quietly with my eyes closed?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is also very simple. And the answer is to get better at life.
Okay.
The reality is stress makes you stupid. It also makes you sick and it makes you slow.
Yes.
And people don't understand really the opportunity cost of stress on their physical and mental performance, because it becomes like a white noise, like an air conditioner on in the background that a lot of us don't even know is there. We don't understand fully what it's costing us until it's gone. And so a lot of people don't even identify with being stressed or know that they're stressed. And and that word stress has negative connotations, but what I mean when I say it is any sort of demand on the nervous system, that sort of chronic low grade thing that most humans on the planet are dealing with because our food isn't food and our water is polluted and we've got Wi-Fi everywhere and we're on red eye flights. Like, just being a human on the planet Earth,
yeah.
Even if you've had a great childhood and have been in therapy for 20 years, like your body's still dealing with demands. And that is what I call stress. And so we don't really fully understand what that's costing us until we get rid of it. And what most of my students report is that once they start meditating, their performance really up levels. And that's what we specialize in at Ziva. We specialize in meditation for better performance, right?
That's so cool.
And so we've worked with like Oscar, Grammy, Tony, Emmy, Golden Globe winners, NBA players, stay-at-home moms, like, the superheroes. And they're not meditating because they have copious amounts of extra time. They're doing it because even a 5 or 10% increase in their performance is valuable. But the reality is it's much more than 5 or 10. For most people, they say it feels more like 30 to 40% improvement in their performance.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
That's a really big number. So when you say they're measuring their performance, so they're talking about their performance with athletes, you're saying it's actually like helping their game. Yeah.
So I to be honest, I teach a lot more actor types than I do athlete types. I've only taught like
so let's talk actor types. That works.
But either way, like we're talking about people that like their body is their instrument, people that there's no downtime for them, their face, their body, their performance, like they don't have an off day because, the press is in their face even when they're not actually on. And so but the athletes will report that their recovery time gets faster. My actor clients, I had one woman who was like a Tony Award winner, used to vomit in the wings every single time before she would go on stage. They had a puke bucket for her because she would get so nervous. She had to take beta blockers, which are things that like calm down your heart rate and disallow your body from feeling nervous, basically. She used to take those every day.
Wow.
And now she's off of meds. She does not puke anymore. She did a live musical performance on TV for 16 million people live and was like not nervous. Another student of mine was also on beta blockers, used to vomit before she would perform. And then she got cast in a TV show playing Robert De Niro's wife, and the whole thing was improv. So imagine improvising on a TV set opposite like the greatest actor in history. And she was like, yeah, I was totally fine.
Okay. That's huge. I mean, that's bigger than huge.
Yeah.
That's insane. So, besides like the performance, because I'm sure people are also thinking like, okay, if it's going to help with performance, like what other kind of like transformations are you seeing in people's lives, like that are coming through and doing, your workshops, your meditation?
Yeah. So some of the health stuff has been pretty profound. The one that's taken me by surprise actually is IBS. Like a lot of people, I didn't know how prevalent it was, but that's irritable bowel syndrome. And like people having like pretty intense and sometimes chronic and lifelong issues with their bowels and their digestion. And I don't talk about that. I mean, now I am, but in my intro talks, I don't normally talk about it. We don't put it on our website. We don't advertise it in any way. But I just kept getting this feedback again and again, like my IBS is gone. And I was like, what's happening here? Like, is this like sort of secret benefit? But when you understand how the body reacts to stress in the way that it does, which is actually, it's a response to it's a fight or flight reaction to, respond to old predatory demands. And one of the first thing that happens to the body when we launch into fight or flight is that the digestion floods with acid to actually shut down digestion. And so if you're living in a low grade chronic stress, that acid starts to build up over time and your digestion is not functioning as it's meant. And that acid can lead to reflux, IBS, inflammation, like all sorts of health issues, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And so because what we're doing with the meditation is that we're giving them tools to get out of fight or flight, that acid leaves their digestion and it allows the body to heal in the way that it knows how. And that same phenomenon, that same acid in the body going away, because within 30 to 45 seconds of starting Ziva meditation, like not only does the adrenaline and cortisol start to leave the body, but you start to flood the brain and body with dopamine and serotonin, which are alkaline in nature. Those are bliss chemicals, so they feel
good.
nice.
Yeah.
But they also are alkaline. And so you're changing the pH balance in your body, and an alkaline body for most diseases, not all, but like 95% of them, the more alkaline your body is, the better able your body is to heal. And so people have had like skin issues. I had one crazy experience with a guy. And again, I am not a doctor and I'm not making any medical promises. I'm just sharing one thing that happened to me right now. But it was a private course that I had with a gentleman and his wife, and he was a little older. He was in his 70s, and I was at their house and I was giving him his mantra, because in part of the Ziva technique, people are given a mantra, and that helps to really de-excite the nervous system and to give the body deep healing rest. Mm-hmm. And that helps to get rid of the stress that we've all been storing in our cellular memory from the past. So anyway, I give him his mantra. He starts saying it a lot. And this man had Parkinson's, and it was pretty pronounced Parkinson's. And when I gave him his mantra and he started saying it, his tremors got even more pronounced. And he was a little self-conscious about it. He wouldn't talk about it. And so I didn't want to say anything. But then he closes his eyes and he starts with his mantra, and his tremors stopped immediately. And I've been with him now for like 2 days, and I'd never seen his tremors stop. And it was not startling, but shocking. And it moved me. Like I started crying because I'd never seen anything like that happen so quickly. And I wasn't anticipating that. And so it was just 5 minutes later, and I asked him to open his eyes, and he actually said something. He said, "Did you notice that my tremors stopped?" And I said, "I did notice that." And then we went back in, and his tremors stopped the entire 20 minutes. And then afterwards, he opened his eyes, and for about 5 minutes afterwards, tremors were gone. Next day, we meditated again for the 20 minutes, no tremors. And about 10 minutes afterwards, they came back. The next day, 15 minutes later, they came back. The next day, 20 minutes. So each day we were meditating as he was increasing the dopamine and serotonin in his body. It was giving him a longer and longer reprieve from the tremors. So to be clear, I'm not claiming that meditation can cure Parkinson's, and certainly not at like the advanced stage that he was. But since doing a little bit more research, it turns out that dopamine and serotonin, I think, are natural antidotes to whatever it is that causes the tremors. So it wasn't stopping it, but it was giving him a moment of reprieve. And so that was really powerful to witness.
Yeah. So you're actually with meditation, and we can scientifically say this, that you're actually diving in deep into the nervous system of the human body and even beyond. But, knowing that that's the master control system that controls everything, right from brain function and to, your digestion to how you wiggle your toe is all controlled by that. So you have the power to kind of go in and be, I don't know, the gatekeeper, the controller of that system, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, we all do, and it's a matter of people choosing and saying yes. Like I'm willing to surrender my most valuable resource, which is my time, right? Like that's the most valuable resource we have, and you have to actually make that investment. You have to choose to actually meditate. But then if you make that investment, and the reality is it's 2% of your day. And what we teach at Ziva with the zivaONLINE, which is our new training, it's 15 minutes twice a day, which is 2% of your day. The other 98% of your life gets so much better, because as you said, this brain up here is in charge of everything, every decision, every cell that gets printed, every meal that gets digested. It's all starting here. So when people say, "I don't have time to meditate," I'm like, what the F else are you spending your time on? This is your brain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's I think it was Zig Ziglar, who was the old motivational speaker. And, he talks about like taking care of the human body, and he'd use his money, but he goes, you'd rather spend, $1 million taking care of a $30 dog than any time or energy or money on $1 billion body, which is yours to live inside of, so yeah, we have such a disconnect that, life has become easier, we'll say, and faster moving and fast with all these technologies around. So technically we really have more time to actually meditate now.
Yes.
where if we were farming 12 hours a day.
But I think the perception there is that's not our reality
I know.
because we think we're so much busier, because any downtime we have, we get on our phones and we're on social media. So when our downtime is no longer downtime, so we have the illusion of productivity. We have the illusion of busyness. We go in and clear out 20 junk emails from our inbox like, ooh, I was so productive. No, you weren't.
No, you were busy. You were not productive.
Exactly.
Wow. So if you don't mind, I'd love to get a little like woo-woo here if we could, because I think this is cool. So I've spoke about this very little on the Lifestyle Locker Radio on the podcast, but going quantum, kind of like diving deep into the realms.
Can you first define what you mean when you say quantum? Because everyone, a lot of people have a different definition.
I don't mean just getting into the mind. So like actually connecting with the universe and kind of putting things out there and not actually knowing how things are going to come back to you.
Yeah. Okay. Got you.
That's what I mean. That's how I understand. I mean, you can, I'll listen. I'm here to learn as well.
Nope,
that's my selfish way of having the podcast. So talk to me, like being that you're a master in what you do, being that you've had however many hours now, meditating, and how many people you've taught. I feel that, when you're teaching something, you learn probably twice as much than even by acting it, doing the process. How do you help people, and would you describe what people can experience like quantumly? Like what kind of things are showing up in people's lives? And I mean, it's hard for me to ask a question, but
no, I got you. I understand. Okay. And I'm excited. Okay. So I have two different rabbit holes I'm going to go down.
Good.
And the first is I want to explain quickly what the Ziva Technique is, because there's actually a manifesting component to the Ziva Technique. And so the Ziva Technique is this beautiful trifecta of mindfulness, meditation, and manifesting, or the 3 M's as we like to call it. And mindfulness is what most people think of when they hear the word meditation. So like most of the apps out there, most of the YouTube videos, most of the drop-in studios, they're teaching some flavor of what I would call mindfulness. Now, this would be anytime you have like a guided visualization, anytime you're counting your breaths, anytime you're directing your focus. That's what I would call mindfulness. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful way to bring your awareness into the present moment, which we all need because of that technology thing we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And so that is great. And mindfulness is very good at changing your state and dealing with your stress in the now. Like, if I had a stressful day at work, let me listen to this app on my phone for 10 minutes. Oh, I feel better in the now. Great. Now, what meditation does, and I'm going to speak specifically about Ziva meditation right now, is that we utilize tools. One of them is a mantra, and that de-excites the nervous system, and you give the body deep healing rest, which actually gets rid of your stress from the past. All that stuff that's left some imprints on your cellular memory. Every time you've ever been stressed, it's left a little mark on your genes and a mark on your cells. And so what we do in the meditation portion, it feels almost like a nap sitting up. You're getting 5 times deeper rest than sleep, 2 to 5 times deeper. And that helps to get rid of your stress from the past. Okay, so those are the first 2 M's. Mindfulness, left brain, waking state, you're directing your focus. Meditation is much more surrendered. It's about deep healing rest, getting rid of the stress in the past. And then the 3rd M, which is like the dessert portion of the Ziva Technique, is the manifesting.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, right? It's so delicious and so fun. And with manifesting, you're basically just consciously creating a life that you love. And I know that word manifesting can get a bad rap, or it sounds a little woo-woo, especially for high performers and high achievers. And like people are like, oh, what, you want to just like sit around and like secret my dreams? And I'm not suggesting that people don't take action. To me, the value in manifesting comes in you getting super specific and ultra clear about exactly what it is that you want to create in your life. What exactly do you want your income to be? What do you want your relationship to be with your body? How many times a week do you want to be having sex? Where do you want to be taking your vacations? Rather than what most of us do is just like, I want to lose weight. I need a boyfriend. I need more money. And it's just this sort of like blanket ambiguous complaint.
Yeah.
Which is not the same thing as manifesting.
Yeah, clarity, right?
We have to be specific and we have to be lit up about the dream. Where are we going, right? And so what I teach is at the end of the meditation, I give people a system to walk through to manifest their dreams. And here's the only real trick to it. I'm like giving away my secrets here, but it's that you imagine the reality as if it's happening now. right? And so you're basically charging up the cells in your body with the frequency of your dreams versus what a lot of us do is like, oh, please, please, I need this, I need that. And it's like we accidentally put our attention on the absence of our desires versus allowing ourselves to imagine the reality as if it's currently happening. Okay. And one is infinitely more powerful than the other. And what I found is that the combination of meditation and manifesting is infinitely more powerful than either of them are by themselves. It's like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, because you could make vision boards all day long, you could manifest all day long, but if your body is riddled with stress, it's very hard. If you don't believe that you deserve your dreams, it's very hard for nature to deliver. And conversely, you could meditate all day, but if you're not clear about what it is that you want, then you're wasting this incredible tool. Like, you have this capacity to manifest, but you're not placing the order with the cosmic waitress.
Yeah. So when you're talking about the manifestation and kind of being incredibly clear on what and why you want what you want, I mean, are you talking about like almost getting like emotionally charged at the same time? Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect.
Like, you're getting into the feeling space as if it's happening now.
Okay.
And that's part of what I teach both in zivaONLINE in the course. And actually, we're offering a pretty rad free masterclass called The Stress Solution. And at the end of the masterclass, I actually walk people through a full-blown manifesting exercise. And so people could experience that if they want to, totally free.
Yeah, and we are going to have the link for that in the show notes. So make sure you do definitely get on that. It's going to be mind blowing, or maybe quantum blowing, if you will, right? Getting out of your head, or into reality, I should say, or out of reality. I don't even know what to say.
Either way,
very cool. All right.
As Guns N' Roses like to say. And it's for the people, if that got a little too woo-woo for like the scientists and the skeptics out there, just to sort of bring it back to earth for a minute, what's happening when you meditate, and we now, like, neuroscience is catching up to what these Indian dudes have been saying for 6,000 years.
Exactly.
Now we can prove not only that meditation is good for you, but we can start to see how different styles of the brain different styles of meditation affect the brain differently. And so in mindfulness, where you're directing your focus, a small part of the brain lights up, but very, very bright, versus meditation, where it's more of a surrendering practice, the whole brain lights up, which increases neuroplasticity, neurogenesis. And then in manifesting, what we're doing is that we're really waking up that right brain. And that is a gross oversimplification, but right brain meaning like the creativity center of the brain and the intuitive part of the brain, the connected part of the brain. And we use the mantra as a tool, like as a vehicle to help us access that right brain. And the right brain is the piece of us that's in charge of right now, but it's also the piece of us that feels connected to everyone and everything. It's not so limited by the left brain version of individuality, which is very identified with the body. And so to your point, I think that's what you mean when you say like quantum, because it's when you tapped into that right brain, the way I like to think about, like, the analogy that I use is that your left brain is the computer. And there is this Wi-Fi network, which is the collective consciousness, right? It is collective intelligence. And your right brain it's the router, right? It's the thing that allows you to plug into the Wi-Fi network so that you can download your amazing ideas, so that you can be more tapped into your creative problem solving. But most of us have been taking our left brain to the gym for a few decades, and we forgot to take the right brain to the gym. But if you look at a human brain, it actually splits right down the middle, 50-50. Then I don't think that nature makes mistakes. I don't think that nature would have given us 50-50 if it wanted us to spend 90% of our time in the left brain. But that's what most of us are doing, which is why meditation feels like a superpower. It feels magical, but it's not magical. It's just there's this whole like unused resource for most of us.
Yeah, like I like that you said it's the router, and I think we've a lot of us have unplugged that router to connect to the world, right? It was just so wild. And the woo-woo stuff, I think, is going to start, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think is going to definitely be something that's going to be like, we're going to start seeing this stuff pop up, because as more people are getting killed by drugs and all of these horrible things that are going on, people are just trying to hide their lives, with medication. I think meditation will be definitely one of the saviors to reconnect people.
I really hope so. I shared with you earlier, but I'm going through like quite a bit of family stuff right now. I'm dealing with some health challenges with my family, and I was in a hospital for the past 4 days, and it was astounding to me. Like I am more lit up than I have ever been about my mission, about sharing these tools with people, because the well, the nursing staff, which the nurses were amazing. They were so kind and they were so helpful, and they are angels on this planet, and I am so incredibly grateful for them. And about 90% of the staff was extremely overweight, like dangerously overweight. And they're drinking, the big gulp sodas and drinking and eating Papa John's pizza at 1 a.m. And I can only imagine how intense their job is. And I don't know that they have any training on diet or other modalities of healing, but it made me so sad, because here's these people that have dedicated their lives to helping other people. And it's like, who's helping them? Who's educating them about their stress, about their diet? And then the only conversation that anyone was having when we were dealing with some sort of like, lifestyle issues, the only conversation was about pharmaceuticals. Like that's it. That's all anyone talked about. What are the side effects? What will the drugs do? What kind of drugs? How many drugs? The dosage? What drugs should we take off? No one mentioned anything else. No exercise, no diet, no sunshine, no community, no nothing.
Yeah.
And I get that, that's everyone's personal responsibility, but it just seems like we've come to such, like the scales have tilted so far in a direction that I think we need to bring things back into balance. And this is not me criticizing Western medicine. Like, I am very, very grateful for Western medicine, especially right now. I just think we have both. We have surgical capabilities, we have pharmaceuticals, which sometimes are relevant, and we have this infinite resource of nature. And it's like, again, we're only using one part of it, and we got to get back to an integration.
Yeah. I mean, I get fired up as well all the time with this type of thing, because we've started to create, you're talking about lifestyle, and that's why I've created Lifestyle Locker, to kind of bring truth to the world, because we're so blinded and so numb to reality. Medicine 100 years ago, and modern medicine is not that old. Medicine 100 years ago was, it's like, okay, I broke my leg. What do we do? Mm-hmm. Now it's like, I can't sleep. What do I do? And it's the same answer as if you broke your leg. It's like, all right, drugs and surgery. Yeah. Right. And so our misconception of what health really is I think the biggest challenge. And that's why meditation and lifestyle and these things are such huge protractor or huge, deals of our life, because if we have 80% that's lifestyle and then we have the 20% that's emergency, we're going to live better no matter what.
Yeah. And it just makes life so much more enjoyable. And, I live in New York City and I teach in LA, so I have my little bubbles of health, and I'm in an echo chamber of people that all know this stuff. But being here in, 7 minutes from the Georgia line, like in the Panhandle, I see how far the disconnect is. People they actually laugh at me when I suggest that a lifetime of diet could impact their health. Like they think it's funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I think people like you are making a huge difference. And that's why I'm so grateful to have you here, because, right? This is how the tide gets shifted. Yes. And the tide gets shifted, when the tide goes out, you've heard this, like it shows everything.
Yeah.
It's going to show the whole mess. It's going to show the rocks and all the crazy things, but it's also going to show the truth. Mm-hmm. And the small group of people like yourself, and I want to put myself in that group as well, are going to be the people that are standing strong when the part of my English here in New York, when the shit hits the fan, we're going to be standing behind and going, this is the right way.
Yeah.
I get a little goosebumps thinking about all this stuff. Yeah. So let's jump back into meditation. So I want to know how people in your studios, beyond beautiful in New York.
Thank you.
Being there, beyond beautiful. How do people connect with you?
Yeah.
It's important. I'm sure people are going, all right, this conversation is pretty cool. It's kind of going everywhere in health, and I gotta find this girl somewhere, whether it's online or in her studio.
Yeah. So I would say if you can make it to New York or LA, I think that's the best way to learn meditation. There's really, I mean, it's so beautiful and powerful to be in the room with your teacher and we have a live training. It's called Ziva Live, and it's 2 hours a day for 4 days. And then we have an online training, and you can find both of those at Ziva, which is just Ziva, zivameditation.com. And that's our home base. That's where you can find everything. But for the people who are not in New York or LA, we're actually launching right now this new online training, which I'm crazy proud of. My whole team and I have been working for the past 15 months on this thing, and we've incorporated the newest neuroscience, the best of my teaching. This is the first time we're sort of unveiling the Ziva technique, the trifecta, where we're really teaching the mindfulness, the meditation, and the manifesting all in one place. And the cool thing about it is that I don't think you have to move to a cave or become a monk or stop having sex or stop drinking Jack Daniels. Like, you don't have to change your identity in order to do this. The reality is, once you start investing in your health, there might be some lifestyle things that start to fall away. Like that second joint might not look as attractive. The third, fourth, fifth glass of wine may not seem like as appetizing. But I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. If that happens, it will happen innocently. And so the training is for Ziva Online. The training is about 15 to 20 minutes a day for 15 days. And in the beginning, first 3 days you learn mindfulness. Next 8 days you learn meditation. And the last 3 days you do the manifesting. And training is designed to make you self-sufficient, so you don't need me anymore afterwards. So this is not like an app. It's not like you got to log in every day and I'm guiding you through, because I don't like addiction models. I want people to be self-sufficient. And so you move through this training once, and then you'll be able to do the Ziva technique on a plane, on a bus, at your office, with your kids in the next room yelling. Like, you don't have to have silence. Like, there's a lot of misconceptions around it. Oh, and then the biggest misconception, which is like the number one reason why most people don't meditate, is that they think that the point is to clear the mind. And they sit down and they try to clear their minds, and then they can't because that's impossible. And then they feel like a failure, and then they quit. And so I just want people to know going into this that I'm not going to ask you to clear your mind, that you're allowed to have thoughts. That's okay. You can still get all the benefits that I'm talking about, even if you have an active mind, even if your mind is quote unquote busy.
That's it's so important. I think the misconceptions are so bizarre. And I know you said in Florida, if you say, "Oh, you got to meditate," they're probably thinking of someone in India with their legs crossed and saying Om is the only way they're meditating. But it's so different. It's so far different. Yeah. So I want to applaud you for making the difference and creating what you've created. I mean, it's like it was almost like a download from the universe into you, where you can share something like this. I mean, it's, I mean, I feel very grateful. I do feel like, when you just feel like you're on your path and you're on your mission. And I know very well what it feels like to not be on that. Yes. I've been on that path as well. And it does feel like the timing and my unique set of skills and the science that's coming out and the technology, it does feel like we're at this precipice to really take this stuff mainstream. And I feel like that's my role in this whole story, is to make meditation attractive, accessible, and easy to adopt so that people actually do it. Because the thing is, we all know we should be meditating, just like we all know we should be exercising and eating more vegetables. That doesn't matter if you know you should be doing it. It matters if you actually effing do it. And so that is what I feel like my role is to break down the barriers and the blocks and the obstacles, and to make it practical and realistic with our modern day demands. That's so cool. So I know this may be a challenging question because we have people, we want people to get onto the, that, what do we call it? The stress solution. I want people to get in there. Totally. That we're going to throw that link in the show notes, but I think that's super important. But if you can give 3 simple steps, like 3 little nuggets, and I know the stress solution and getting on Ziva Online or even in person are going to be in my steps for people to do for you or for them. What could you tell someone to do like today? Like if I could just take 3 little steps today, I should see a little difference tomorrow. What would you say? Yeah. So, there's so many. I know. But here's an easy one that I don't think many people know about, that is totally free and ridiculously easy. And that is drinking a cup of hot water
a few times a day, 3 times a day, or before a meal, or anytime you're hungry, drink a cup of hot water.
Hot water.
Yep, it costs you $0. And you just like you're making tea, but with no tea. And especially in the wintertime, what it does is that it cuts the acid in your stomach. And it brings, because it's hot, it's like a natural analgesic. So it'll bring blood to your gut and take it out of your brain. And you could do this, like if you go to a restaurant and you're very indecisive, or you're not sure what you want to eat, and you're making like a left brain, like guilt-based decision of should I eat? I want this, but and then we just are stressing ourselves out more. Instead, drink a cup of hot water. It'll bring that blood into your gut so that you can intuit what you want to eat. It'll also just cut the acid in your body, and it's easier for your body to absorb the hydration when the water is warmer. So I'm not talking scalding hot, just like a tea, like a warm tea.
I haven't heard that one yet. I've had a lot of these already. That's the first
one. I thought
one.
that one might be new, so that's why I did it. And it's also free and easy. And it's also, it's like, I hate it when people say this, but I'm about to say it.
Say it.
It's like a meditative moment, it's like a moment of just sipping it, being with the heat. You can't drink it fast because it's hot. So it just slows you down to get you into a different frame of mind before you eat your food. Because according to Ayurveda, which is a beautiful ancient system of healing, the state of consciousness that you're in when you're eating is more important than the food itself. So if you're stressed out and anxious and rushing and just shoving something down your throat, you're basically consuming that stress twice. You've got the stress in your mind, but then you eat that stress. So it's important that we take the time to slow down. I mean, there's a reason why almost every civilization on the planet gives thanks before they eat their food. It's to change your state of consciousness so that you can get the full benefit of the food.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's like the second thing I haven't heard. Wow, this is great.
Okay, cool. And then the other one, and this, you probably heard this one, but I think it's a simple thing. Again, it's free and it's simple, and I think it can make a big difference, is put your phone on airplane mode, like at least an hour before bed, and keep it on airplane mode until you wake up and ideally, you do your morning meditation. And if you don't have a meditation practice, come do Ziva Online, and then wake up, meditate, and then take your phone off of Wi-Fi. Okay, off of airplane mode. Now, this is for two reasons. This is for your mental health, right? Because we've all become bulimic of the brain, and we're just checking that thing all the time. And I get it that if you have like a kid or a sick parent, or that you feel like you always have to be on, but I would say get a landline. You know what I mean? Like spend the $10 a month or whatever it costs you now to get a landline if there's really an emergency, and give it to only your inner circle, but turn your phone off, because for your mental health and your sanity, but also for your brain health, because the radiation that's coming in, like the EMF and the cell phone radiation, the science is not great, and it's not really conclusive yet, but
it's getting better. I just interviewed someone.
Better. And there's a lot of Wi-Fi networks and a lot of cell phones and devices around us all the time. And the reality is we don't know yet what the long-term impacts of this are, but why would you want a thing sitting next to your brain radiating it all night long? Like, I just don't why? Just turn it on airplane mode. Also, if we go back to the performance piece, if you read the autobiographies of any high performer, if you read those articles, like the 10 habits of highly successful people, every single one of them, without exception, starts their day for themselves. They either exercise, most of them meditate, or they work out, or they do art, or they write, but their morning is theirs. They do not wake up and start checking their emails, right? Like, because that makes you everyone else's slave. That makes you everyone else's minion. And so it's like, use that fresh mental time for yourself. Fill yourself up so you can use your to-do list as a means by which to deliver fulfillment, instead of going through your life as need, looking to be fulfilled.
So cool. Man, I'm so excited we did this. This is this is awesome. Wow. Okay, mind blown. Very cool stuff. So everyone, from everyone and myself, more personally, I am so grateful that I met you at your studio in New York, and glad we're able to connect, because people like you are really changing the world. They really are.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for that, and grateful that you said yes to my annoying messages and emails and so on and so forth. But I'm very glad because I think
I'm actually the one that asked you if I could be on your podcast. So maybe. You for having me, and thank you for the work that you're doing and for taking all these messages and sharing them with your audience. It's it takes a village, it takes a tribe, and we're working against a tsunami right now. So every single one, every flame, every candle, every podcast, like, it matters right now.
Yeah, I want to just share this one last quote before you finish. Is by a guy named BJ Palmer, who's a developer of chiropractic. He said it's better to light one candle than to curse the darkness, which is so powerful. And that's I kind of broke down that last sentence that you said and put it there because it's so true.
Yeah,
so true.
Thank you for that. I'm going to hold that.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you. And I hope to see your beautiful face again soon.
Yes. So Locker Nation, are you ready to tune up your peak performance, unleash your human potential, become human powered, and maybe even go a little quantum? Emily Fletcher will show you how, so make sure you do connect with her in our bio, which you will find in the show notes, and on the website. There will be details to actually get the stress solution, right? 3 ways to manage anxiety so it doesn't manage you. That's going to be awesome. Make sure you get on that, click that link. And also, we're going to put links to her Ziva online course, which is going to be badass. I have the honor to be doing them while you're listening to this. And I can tell you this, they are freaking awesome. So make sure you jump in and tune up your performance with Emily Fletcher and Ziva Meditation. All right, y'all, this is Dr. Josh for Lifestyle Locker Radio. Until the next time, peace out. Bye-bye.